All right, we're about to go live. Catherine, if you want to be ready to start recording, just 1 second.
I already started us recording.
Fantastic. All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome again to the 2021 UNC Water and Health Conference. We're very glad that you're able to join us for today's session on Careers in WaSH, a virtual networking event for young professionals. I am Timothy Purvis. I work here at the Water Institute at UNC, and I will be one of your room hosts for the day.
I'm Catherine Conaway. I also am a student and work here at the Water Institute at UNC. And yeah, we just want to thank you guys again for coming. So we're very thankful that you guys have the opportunity to join us today to hear from our speakers and panelists. In the past, this event at the Water and Health Conference has been an opportunity for students and recent graduates and early career professionals to network with companies and to learn about developments in the WaSH sector. Although the pandemic has required that we move away from in-person networking, it has given us the chance to hear from panelists and guests that we'd otherwise not have as easy access to as we do today.
So before we begin, we have a couple of just rules for anyone who hasn't been at any of the other sessions for the conference. So the first thing that you will want to note is that this session is being recorded, and that is so that afterwards you are able to kind of reflect back on what happened in the session, or for anyone who wasn't actually able to join us live, they're able to see the recording of what happened in this main session. And so with that, all of our guests have been auto-muted. The only people who can talk are the presenters and our panelists for the day, and then that may change when we go to breakout rooms, but for this main session, that is how we're going to be operating. Similarly, the Zoom chat has been disabled, and so we want you to post all your questions through the Pathable site, and so that is the page that you use to actually join this session. You can scroll down a little bit and see the chat window. Feel free to type in any questions that you have for our speakers. Anything that they're not able to answer during the main sessions, they'll have the opportunity to go back and answer them after the session is over. So that's a great opportunity just to continue to talk with our panelists and our speakers. The other thing that we do want to note is that at the second half of this session, so not now, don't try yet, but we will be joining breakout rooms for each of our panelists. And so with that, we do you'll be able to find that just by scrolling down to the bottom of the actual Pathable page, which once again is the platform that we have been using to join the session. So if you scroll down to the bottom of that, you should be able to see all the breakout rooms, and those will go live just before our panelists go into them. And so I think that is it for the rules. So
now that we've gone through the ground rules, we're going to introduce our first speaker. So joining us today is Josh Newton from Josh's Water Jobs, an online platform for finding water-related jobs. Josh started his work on Josh's Water Jobs informally, simply passing along job listings to friends and colleagues, but that work has now grown into a larger web platform listing almost 1,000 active positions. With that, we know that Josh has a wider view of careers in the WaSH sector than most of us, and we're happy to hand it over to you, Josh. The floor is yours if you want to get started.
Great. Thank you very much, Catherine. It's a pleasure to be back here again this year at the conference and sharing a little bit of insights around WaSH and jobs. So what I'm going to talk about is basically based on my own perceptions and what I've picked up from having posted about 100 or so WaSH jobs a week on the website for the past 5+ years, and then the list has been going on for 10 years. So it's just I'm actually looking forward to hearing from the other speakers to see what their insights are on trends and advice as well. But so what I'll speak about in general is the trends in the WaSH sector that I've picked up, and then provide a little bit of advice from my own point of view at the end. So in general, because of global priorities on water and sanitation, there has been a pretty consistent number of jobs open in the WaSH sector for quite some time now. And with the SDGs and SDG 6 and the fact that we're approaching the midway point, we can foresee that there'll probably be a uptick in that and the focus on trying to meet that goal, which is going to be very difficult if we're able to do it at all, which will provide opportunities for people to get engaged in the WaSH sector. This has only been, I'll go into a little bit more on COVID later on, but this is only kind of doubled down, I guess, with the pandemic. There was shortly, like a year and a half ago or so, there was an uptick in the number of WaSH positions worldwide, from junior all the way to senior positions. And then this has basically continued since that period. And then along with certain say conflicts in the world, especially in Ethiopia region, there's been more and more jobs in the WaSH sector there, as well as conflict creates a lot of problems for access to water, sanitation, hygiene. In generally speaking, engineering positions are related to WaSH are always, I would say, always available in a way. There's always a good number of jobs there worldwide, just because in general, from my understanding, there's less and less people going into engineering in terms of education. So this is actually creating a lot of opportunities and openings, again, at all levels. I see so many, I only try to post, say, international positions with a few national level positions as well. But what I see on the national level almost everywhere is a lot of availability in engineering related to WaSH. So that's, and that's, again, that's not going to change. And say related to that, and I think we'll hear from a few of the speakers about this, is technology and data digitalization around WaSH. It's water resources management, but it's also around WaSH that is definitely starting to gain steam. And so there's more organizations, there's more openings with regards to technology data as it relates to WaSH as well. And where a lot of the world's, say, political focus environmentally right now is on climate change. And this has also changed the focus of many of the WaSH jobs out there. I won't say many, but there's climate change in WaSH, climate resilient WaSH. We're seeing a lot of organizations shift in that direction. Part of it's because it's necessary, and part of it's because that's where the funding is at from governments. And so that kind of, say, subsector or related issues around WaSH and climate change are definitely on the rise as well, and that's not going to go anywhere. The sustainability issues and resilience issues around WaSH are challenges that will continue to need to, say, adapt to and address. Also, during COVID, what I saw was that on the academic side of things, and we'll hear from a professor a little later as well, that there was a lot more research going on around WaSH, and that is basically continued now through now, much more than I saw, say, 5 years ago. So COVID definitely push that, but so there's a lot more postdocs, there's a lot more research positions, there's a lot more scholarships related to WaSH than I've ever seen before. So it's that's kind of as WaSH water kind of rise on the political agenda, we're seeing this being addressed academically more as well. So with COVID, as I was mentioning, we did see, or I did see an uptick in WaSH positions available worldwide. And that's been steady, and it most likely will continue to be steady. So that's good news. What I've been hearing a lot actually from organizations lately in the past month or two, and this isn't so much for, say, young professionals, but maybe is good news for later on, is that especially at the mid-level, senior level, organizations are having a real hard time finding good people for positions. They're actually really struggling because it seems like that the pipeline of people going into these fields is not it's not meeting the needs that are out there. So again, this is more for mid to senior level, but these needs are not going to change. So that's kind of, well, bad news for the issues that we're facing, but good news for jobs in the future. And so that's, let's say more on say during COVID and the technical side of operational side of WaSH. But so during that period, the social science side of WaSH, I would say did take a bit of a dip in terms of jobs, but now is coming back. And what I'm seeing more and more now are, especially on say USAID, the big contracts that are going are behavioral change positions, and those are becoming more frequent now. And this has been across the board in the past few months, half year, that the social science positions, and this is for water resource management governance, has started to come back a bit as the world slowly recovers. And let's see. So I will just jump into a little bit of advice now for, so mine will be more general, and like I said, I'm excited to hear the more specific advice from the panelists. But just a few points is that when looking for jobs, don't be afraid to reach out to anybody, whether that's me, any of the panelists, or any senior member of any organization. Don't be afraid to reach out to people and ask for career advice. I wouldn't say ask for a job, but ask for career advice. People love to give advice, and it's really interesting to hear people's different stories and where they're coming from and how they got into the position that they are. And there's always good pointers from talking to people. So it's really important to just reach out, have coffee virtually or in person if you can, and ask people's advice about their WaSH careers. I would say, yeah, just put yourself out there. The best advice I ever got when I was an intern a long time ago was that, if you put yourself out there, you create your own luck. So if you're passive, things stay the same. But if you put yourself out there, you create opportunities, you create luck, and things happen. It's very serendipitous. Also, definitely, and I've used this throughout my career and continue to, is to have a mentor or to have various mentors. It's always nice to have someone who is an expert in the field or in other aspects of career, maybe not WaSH, but they're really good at project management or something like that you can ask questions to and have get guidance from. And I still use mentors today. And then I mentor in turn young professionals. So, and the last thing I'd like to say before moving on to Antonella is that please stick with this field, the water and sanitation hygiene, WaSH, the WaSH field, because we really need you all engaged in working on the subject. It's a huge challenge that we will be facing probably for a very, very long time. And so we need, it is tough to find jobs sometimes. I commiserate with you all. I have been through it. I'm going through it now, actually. But stick with it, because we really need all the talent we can get to face the big challenges that we have. So again, thank you very much, UNC, for having me. And it's great to be here.
Thank you so much for that. I think it's great. My degree is environmental engineering, so I'm happy to hear that there's plenty of room for plenty of jobs in that specific niche. So now I'm going to hand it over to Tim.
Yep, and so at this point, we're actually going to transition to our second speaker, which is Antonella Vagliente. And so Antonella was the co-founder and is the current director of the Young Water Solutions, which is a global platform that helps, especially with their Young Water Fellowship program, connect emerging talent and young professionals to mentorship and to improving their skills as water practitioners. I hope that I got that correct. And so we're really excited with that kind of viewpoint of how to transition people out of school and recent grads into their early careers in the WaSH sector. We're really excited to hear from you, Antonella, kind of your thoughts on how to make a positive impact in the WaSH sector. And so we're going to turn it over to you now, and I will stop sharing.
Wonderful. Thank you, team, and hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I guess for most of you, for me, it's a good evening because I'm in Brussels right now, and it's almost 10 p.m. here. I am originally from Argentina, as you may hear from my accent, but I have been living here in Belgium for the last 5 years. And tonight, I want to share with you something about what we do at Young Water Solutions, but mainly a bit of advice as well from the peculiar position that I find myself in, because on one side I am a young professional in age, but I've been engaged in the water sector for over 16 years now. And at the same time, as co-founder and director of Young Water Solutions, I am an employer, and we are, through Young Water Solutions, also supporting self-employment of young people, young entrepreneurs, by supporting them in creating water and sanitation startups. So gathering from all these different places and experiences, I'm going to try at the end to share some insights with you on what I consider important also when hiring young professionals, because that's also what we do at Young Water Solutions when we are growing our team. So I'm going to share my screen. Just a second. I hope that you can all see it, otherwise shout. So what is Young Water Solutions? Just to complement a little bit what Timothy said. We created Young Water Solutions in 2017. Actually, Josh, who just spoke, is one of our board members. We created it because we identified a gap in the water sector in terms of what was and what is actually still today the support being offered to young entrepreneurs, to young people under 30 years old, especially in low and middle income countries that are committed to make a difference in terms of the access to water and sanitation in their countries, in their communities. That have innovative ideas on how to do so, but are lacking the resources to be able to make those first steps in creating a startup. And that way also supporting the creation of employment as well for themselves and for the community. So, for example, you see there our fellow Usama from Pakistan. He, with his business Pakvita, he creates water filters for refugee camps, and the support of the pilot project that is supported in there. So what is it that we do with these young entrepreneurs that we identify mainly through our Young Water Fellowship program? We organize ideation workshops, ideation events to be able to provide a bit more tools to young people in low and middle income countries to come up with innovative ideas that can fill in gaps in the water sector in their countries. We train them. We select those that have business potential and that are innovative and are impactful as well, and that are worth just at least trying to validate their main assumptions and see whether the business takes off. So we run these incubation programs where we train them in business and in WaSH as well, so that they can shape their business models, and we also offer them some small funding grants so that they can make the first steps and also validate the impact of their businesses with a community, a low-income community in the countries. We support them, of course, throughout the process, providing them coaching, mentor matching, connecting them with other enablers, and also supporting further those that are already operating are at the right stage to receive investment and grow. So since 2017 that we started this program, we have already supported 75 startups in over 30 countries, and we are now implementing it at national and regional level. Right now, for example, we have the call for applications ongoing for Uganda, for Bangladesh, for Senegal, and soon coming the one for Latin America. So just to give you a couple of ideas of a couple of examples of what our fellows are doing. The girl there on the left, her name is Yvette, and she is the founder of Iriva in Rwanda. This is one of the first startups that we supported in 2017 when they were just trying to implement their first water kiosk, and now 4 years later they have over 16, 17 employees, and through their many water kiosks and water ATMs are providing access to water to over 30,000 people daily. Or we have there Beth, for example, from Kenya, that came to us when she had a prototype of an air to water device. So this technology that transforms the humidity in the air into water, drinkable water. And after a pilot project just testing it, how the machine would work in a community, now she's also growing tremendously and providing access to water, thousands of liters daily, just harvested from the air, to different communities and also to corporate clients that want to reduce their water footprint. So this is just a couple of examples to show you what we're doing, but creating young water solutions, and now growing our team. We are now 6 people in our office in Brussels, but also working with local partners as well. So we're actually a team of 10 now, working daily together. It was not done overnight, and if I could think of what are the 4 most important things that I would tell a young professional from my own career, it would be the following. The first one would be just get involved early in water projects or in sanitation projects or in projects in general. Do not wait to have all the credentials that you need. Do not wait to be at PhD level to be involved in a project for the first time, because it's you can learn very meaningful skills just by planning, coming up with your own project, or joining as a volunteer an organization, or doing an internship, or just doing something while you are studying. For example, I studied when I was in high school. When I was 15, joined a youth NGO, an environmental NGO, and since then I never stopped. I never stopped doing projects, most of them related to water and youth environment. The one that you see there is actually like from a project when I was in the first years of university, just working on participatory budgeting in small communities with the young people and the high school students there. And doing this allowed me to learn skills that then are very valuable when you are doing your first jobs. How to manage a project, for example. You can have all the theory, but it's only when you are managing your first project or planning your first project and using the tools that you really learn and adopt those skills. And for me, this is one of what was a game changer in my own life, and determined many opportunities and many doors that opened for me. The fact that I was already building my network and having experiences since I was young. And that doesn't mean that you have to start in high school, but starting when you are still studying, it's a great opportunity as well. The second thing I would say is get to know the field. So especially if some of you want to work in development projects in access to WaSH, it is extremely important to get acquainted with how communities especially in developing countries, for example, how they live, what are their dynamics, what are the languages that they use, and doing it, trying to get as many opportunities as possible to travel there, to talk to them, to learn how things are from their perspective, is something really, really valuable. When we hire young professionals for our fellowship programs, even if they are sitting here at their office in Belgium, this is something that we look at as well. These 2 things, right? Is it the first, even if this person is just fresh from university, is this the first thing that they do, or have they engaged as a volunteer before, or have they done some projects? Have they worked with vulnerable communities before or not? Because someone that doesn't have any of these experiences sort of needs more support from the organization and the employer as well. And therefore, trying to get them while you are studying, for example, is also very important. The third thing I would say is build your network. And I apologize, I'm running 2 minutes late, so thanks for the patience with that. I'll be quick. So building your network, right? So there are different young professionals network. The photo that you see there is from the World Youth Parliament for Water. I was its vice president for 3 years. There's also the Water Youth Network, which is a great network of young professionals in the water sector. There are different spaces where you can start interacting with people, with young people, but also with seniors, and learning who are the main stakeholders in the water sector, and started building your relationships with them, because that network will also be very, very important when you are trying to get your job. And the last one is finding your niche, in a way, finding what is it that you enjoy, that you want to do in your career. And in this sense, also, that is very linked to what Josh said before, looking at the trends, looking at where the sector is going, it is very important. But also as important, it is to find your sweet spot, which is find that sort of the intersection between what you love doing, because at the end of the day, we spend most of our life in our work, in our job, and therefore it should be something that we enjoy doing, that brings us joy, but also something that we're good at, right? And learning whether we are at ease in leadership positions or in management positions, for example, it is important. Also, this has to be something that is needed, right? I mean, in this sense, looking at the trends and you know, like doing something or trying to specialize in something that is contributing to the 2030 agenda, for example, and not going against it, would be really important to be able to thrive in your career in the water sector as well. And that you get paid for, of course, if you are talking about your career, or if you are coming up with your own startup as well. So thank you very much. And I am really excited to be here, and I'm going to try to stay as much as possible in the breakout rooms to be able to continue to talk to some of you. But if not, you can reach out to me by writing me an email or following us in social media, and then just write us a message. I am really happy to share more advice with any of you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Antonella. That was fantastic. And it's also encouraging to kind of pair what you were saying with Josh's talk as well, of finding mentors who are also able to point out, you know, what you are good at and the niches that you may not see as a young professional in the sector. So thank you for that. That was great. At this point, we are actually going to start moving over to our panelists. And so I'm going to try and share my screen. And so if I can. Catherine, are you able to share screen? Because mine just went down. It is not showing the exact slide. PowerPoint just got mad. Sorry about the technical issue, but so we have 5 panelists that we will be hearing from. And so it's Dr. Ryan Schweitzer from the CDC, Eric Siegel from ACWO, Aisha Erjuman from North Carolina State University, Raisa Mirza from One Drop Foundation, and then Emily Woods from Sanovation. So we're going, before we go into our breakout rooms where we're able to talk to each of these panelists, we are going to just hear a little bit from them so that you have a bit of context about what their roles are, kind of their experience with the field. And so in that order, I'm going to ask each of our panelists to say just briefly what their role is, and then to say one bit of advice that they would like to give to any students, recent grads, or early career professionals if they were interested in a career in the WaSH sector. And so we're going to start out with Ryan, if you're able to talk.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, come through great.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Ryan Schweitzer. I work with the Centers for Disease Control as a public health engineer, and I'm a part of the Emergency Response and Recovery branch. And our role is to respond in emergency settings, whether that's a conflict setting or a natural disaster, natural emergency, to assist local agencies, local government, other partners in mitigating the public health risks, in my role specifically relating to WaSH, water, sanitation, hygiene. Most recently, I was deployed within the US, which is pretty atypical, to assist in the federal government's response with the Afghan refugees that are hosted here in the US now. And go ahead and give my advice. So I think, I mean, the presentations from Josh and Antonella were great. I think they stole a lot of thunder. I even wrote down an equation, Antonella, of your love plus need plus paid plus good equals sweet spot. But I think I would just really emphasize Josh's point about the fact that, you know, we all came from different backgrounds. We've all had mentors and people that have been really influential to us, both personally and professionally. And so I think don't ever hesitate to reach out to somebody because you think they're too busy or too important, because you are the human capital, you are the future. And so I think that we all recognize we've gotten to where we are in our career because of the help of others. So don't ever hesitate to do that, to reach out, to send an email, because I think having hired people, I always value the fact that somebody sends a message, even if you did an interview and you want to get feedback. I think, you know, those types of steps and that really shows that you care about the profession, that you're passionate, and that, yeah, that you're interested in the work. So I think that's really important. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much.
Thank you for that. Now we're going to move over to Eric. And so Eric, if you're able to talk through once again what your role is, and then a piece of advice that you would give. And we should make a correction. Sorry, since our PowerPoint crashed, this is incorrect. Eric actually is with ACFO in Costa Rica right now.
Yes, in San Jose, checking in, and Colombia. I was in Colombia the last 3 years, and it's Colombia with an O. Colombians we have some Colombians that are joining the session, so I want to make sure for that. Eric Siegel, very excited to be here today with you all. Program manager for ACFO Americas. We're a Dutch NGO with presence mostly in Africa and Asia. But I run the Americas program based out of Costa Rica. We work with WaSH and agriculture. What am I supposed to tell you guys? Yeah, my advice. Well, first, yeah, we work to support organizations that look to influence positively access, availability, and quality of water. So within the WaSH sector, that includes governments, other NGOs, the private sector. Yeah, supporting them with their data processes to design, capture, understand, and use data to make decisions. And yeah, the presentations from Josh, and forgive my pronunciation, Antonella, were, yeah, very inspiring. Agree with everything that they say. But designing your research while doing your thesis and coming out of after graduating, I think studying the indicators is a good place to start. Getting the context of, specifically with Sustainable Development Goal 6, looking at the monitoring processes that the joint monitoring program that UNICEF and WHO put forth for access, availability, and quality of water. I think that harmonizing indicators amongst the partners in the sector, governments, private sector, other NGOs, if you can support organizations to harmonize their indicator with other organizations, that really adds a lot of value. So organizations are reporting on the same indicators or similar indicators. And then my other point is that the indicators will be different in each context. So really approaching every situation that it's not one size fits all. Cultural and geographical contexts will are different, obviously, but when you're looking at adapting programming to a community level, to the regional level, to the national level, it's going to be different wherever you are. So as Anatella alluded to, get in and work. Any practical experience you can have in the field is worth it's invaluable. So studying what WaSH looks like internationally in the books, but then getting out and working with communities and learning how water quality is tested in rural communities, working to design surveys that measure how long it takes to go and come with water is invaluable. So that's what my two main points: study indicators, JMP indicators, and really have respect for the local context. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And so we're going to move to our third room. And so that is sorry, I mixed up which order we're going. Dr. Aisha Erjuman from North Carolina State University. And so Dr. Erjuman, if you want to. My apologies. I got flustered by our technical difficulties.
All good, all good. Hi, everybody. My name is Aisha Erjuman. I'm an assistant professor in the Global WaSH cluster at North Carolina State University. I'm an epidemiologist. That means I study disease in human populations, specifically infectious disease transmission through environmental pathways, and I conduct health impact evaluations of WaSH and as well as other environmental interventions to interrupt disease transmission. I've also worn a couple of different hats within the WaSH sector. I was initially trained as an engineer and then pivoted and changed career tracks into public health. And I find that in my current work, I draw from both of those skill sets on a daily basis to do my work. And I guess my two pieces of advice would be, this is gonna start sounding really familiar, echoing Josh and echoing Antonella. Be proactive, reach out, get involved in as much different flavors of research and work as you can, not only to gain experience to make yourself marketable, but really that's the process of finding out what you really like doing. Do you like lab work? Do you like data analysis? Do you actually like design? To position yourself for figuring out what you want to do next. And I look forward to chatting with all of you more in the breakout rooms as well.
Thank you for that. And so our fourth breakout room will be with Raisa Mirza with One Drop Foundation. So Raisa, if you want to share a bit about your position and then your piece of advice.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Raisa Mirza. I'm the Director of Innovation and Knowledge Management at the One Drop Foundation in Montreal. So a big part of my role is supporting sort of sense making within and outside the organization through data, learning, evidence. But I also support my colleagues and our grant partners in building sort of learning and evidence for our projects, supporting experimentation for innovation work. The One Drop Foundation works on behavior change projects in WaSH and sanitation and hygiene. And we work through the lens of art and design, which is really different and interesting for us. So we actually work very closely with cultural artists and the cultural sector in many of our work, alongside governments and kind of the usual stakeholders and suspects. So I would say that even artists have a role to play in the WaSH sector. My background is really in behavioral science and in human-centered design. And I've been lucky to work actually in many different sectors before WaSH, but those, just like Dr. Erjuman said before me, I think have really provided me with a broad range of skill sets for that. In terms of what advice I would give, I would actually say look a lot at job boards and different types of jobs and positions across sectors. Sometimes it's not really clear, you'll see like climate change jobs, but under that it's really a WaSH job. You'll see epidemiology and maybe it'll be a WaSH job. And you just never really know. And also looking at job listings often and having it sort of in your calendar also helps you look at what are the trends that are coming out in the sector, what are the like keywords that are coming out, and that will give you a really good indication of where the sector is heading, and also some of the skills that you might want to develop in the coming months and years.
Awesome, thank you. And then our fifth room will be with Emily Woods with Sanovation. So Emily, if you want to talk about your role with Sanovation and then your piece of advice as well.
Great. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm one of the co-founders and current Chief Operations Officer here at Sanovation. Sanovation is a for-profit startup based here in Kenya that partners with governments to plan, design, implement, operate, improve sanitation services. So my job as Chief Operations Officer is a little bit of everything from managing a lot of teams to working with governments to writing proposals. I kind of love it because it is scattered. My advice for people just coming out of university is that there is a wide range in what a WaSH job could be. You know, WaSH is really a sector, and I think there's a bunch of different roles that fit within that. And so I really want to echo what was said earlier about, you know, so you love WaSH, that's great. Okay, what are you good at? You know, and if you're good at numbers, great. We need accountants, we need project developers, we need engineers. If you're good with people, great. We need behavior change. We need people who can network, people who can work with stakeholders. And so really, really understand on what is it that interests you about what you can do, and then apply it to the WaSH sector. And so I'm constantly looking for a wide range of people who are interested to work in the WaSH sector.
Awesome, thank you for that. And so those are our 5 panelists. And so panelists, just the panelists, not everyone else yet. If you want to go ahead and join your breakout rooms, I think this would be a good time to do that, just so you can get everything situated there. And then for attendees, we'll explain what's about to happen and how Q&A is going to run. So Catherine, I'll hand that over to you. Do you need me to share slides?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, I'll see if my PowerPoint's functioning again.
Yeah, like Tim said, thank you guys. Thank you, panelists, for your responses. Now we're going to ask the panelists to go ahead and go to their breakout rooms, and we'll describe what's going to happen next. So we have these 5 breakout rooms, and there will be 3 12-minute rotations for informal Q&A with a minute of transition time between each rotation. So you're going to exit this main room and you'll go into, can you go to the next slide or the slide that shows this? I think it's the next slide. Yeah. Yes. So you're going to leave this room to the main Pathable page, and then you're going to select which breakout room you want to go to based off of which presenter is, which panelist is in that room. So then you'll have 12 minutes to ask whatever questions that are good you want to ask them, and then we're going to swap, so you can go and choose a different room, again another 12 minutes, and then a third time as well. And so we're going to do that until we've just got a couple of minutes left, and then you're welcome to come back and we'll have a bit of a wrap up and closing announcements to talk about tomorrow at the conference. So yeah, Tim and I are going to stay in this room to help, facilitate this, because I know it is a little logistically complicated, but you guys can go ahead and jump into your whatever breakout room you want to go to first.
And I'll also just add, if you've been having conversation in the main chat here for this main page, you can continue to post chat questions back and forth on that. But there will be chat with the individual presenters in each of the breakout rooms.
Why don't we, can you go to the page that has, yeah, great.
And so Josh and Antonella, if you also want to hear or pose questions to any of the panelists, you're welcome to. If you want to stick around here, that's also fine by us. We might ask you some questions.
By all means.
Let's see.
Should we pause recording or stop recording?
We should pause recording and then we can have